The beast is here. Stay tuned.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, Dave Palumbo here with an RX Muscle exclusive. We have a very special interview coming up today. The man's name is The Beast, Eddie Hall, World's Strongest Man 2017. He holds the deadlift world record at 500 kilograms. He's got one of the greatest personalities in the entire iron sport, and I'm really happy to have him here today and finally get to interview him. Eddie, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, I'm doing good, mate. How are you doing?
Good. Looks like you're in the, I said this before to you, it looks like you're in the Starship Enterprise over there. Where are you?
So this is literally my son's, I had a room converted in the attic. So this is my son's gaming station.
I love it.
This insane, it's basically the world's most powerful gaming PC. And it's like, I'm in like a scorpion chair with the monitors hung in front of me here. It's pretty cool. And all the PCs all like integrated behind me here. It's pretty,
what games does he like to play? What's his games of choice?
Call of Duty. He plays a game called Siege. And then of course he's Roblox, which I think they're all sort of in.
They're all into Roblox, and my son's into it too. Yeah. You know, I've been dying to interview you because you're such an interesting character. Not just some of the feats of strength that you've done, but you've done some. You do some really funny videos, and you've been in some really good comedy skits and stuff like that. And how'd you get started in the whole iron sport? What was your upbringing back when you were a kid?
So, believe this, Olympic standard swimmer when I was a young boy.
Wow.
So age 5, my elder brothers were in a swimming club. So I was sort of thrown in the deep end with them, made to go to the swimming session.
Literally. Yeah.
And then at age 10, I won the nationals. So the best swimmer in the country from the age of 10 years old.
What event did you swim?
Freestyle. So I was, I won the short distance and the long distance. So I won everything.
Wow.
I won the 50 meter, the 100 meter, the 200 meter, the 400 meter, and then the 1500 meter. So I won everything. So a bit of a specialist. Did that for 3 years, won 3 years in a row, the Rent Nationals. And then I was entered into the junior Olympic team. It was the World Class Potential Squad, it was called.
Right.
Did that for a bit. And then I don't know, just sort of like fell out with my coach, a bit of rebellion, drinking, drugs, got quite heavily involved, and then just sort of had a bit of a spat for a couple of years, and then found the gym, expelled from school. So I had nothing to do in the day other than wank and play games. So I went to the gym and started lifting weights at like 13, 14 years of age. And that's where it began, really. That's where I got the bite for lifting iron.
How many years did you do the swimming for?
I'm going to say age 5 up until I was 13. And then I'm going to say everything went tits up about 13.
The reason I ask you that is because it's interesting. And I've interviewed several endurance athletes that switched to bodybuilding, me being one of them. I was a long distance runner. And for some reason, people who go from like endurance training, like extreme endurance training, to power, or bodybuilding type training, powerlifting, do very well. They seem to have like a hyper propensity to put muscle on. And I don't know what it is. It's like almost like their bodies are primed or something like that by the aerobic exercise. You notice that?
Yeah, 100%. I find something, I've done a lot of studies over the year on my body, and my lung capacity is off the charts. And that's definitely well, there we go. It's definitely from the swimming and the endurance stuff I was doing. And that plays a massive role. Obviously, more oxygen in the body, you're able to push harder and longer in training. And then my heart was pretty special. It was a little bit enlarged, which obviously you're going to get with a man my size. But it was the efficiency of my heart. I think a normal heart pumps between 4 and 7 liters of blood per minute. Mine was pumping 17 liters of blood per minute. So it wasn't, it was just such an efficient heart. It was still had the same heart rate as anybody else, but it was just pumping so much more blood. And they put that down to the swimming, especially because it's one of the only sports where you exercise and actually hold your breath. So, and what that holding breath does is creates extreme pressures in the valves, in the aortic valves and everything else. And it actually strengthens them to a stupid degree. So when I read all the scans on my heart and everything, they just said you just got this super efficient, strong heart that we've never seen anything like that before in our lives. So that was pretty interesting to find that out.
So now, even when you get scans now after all the powerlifting and weighing 400 pounds or whatever you were, your heart is still, they saying that efficient?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I do my fight training now, and I push very hard, and I still swim. And I can keep up with guys half my size easily.
It's funny you say that, because I got a little stint of I got into cycling for a while, like when I was rehabbing from a torn quad, and I was out there cycling with these guys on the bike path in New York when I lived there. And they were like, where'd you come from? I'm like, no, I did. They're like, I said, we never see you out here. I said, I've only been cycling for like 6 weeks. They're like, 6 weeks? They're like, we've been doing this for like 20 years. And you're keeping up with us. And I didn't realize how fast I was riding, but it's like, there's like a muscle memory of endurance, just like there is for muscle. And I think that's what you're referring to. Like, you could weigh 300 pounds and jump in a pool and you're swimming like you were when you were 110 pounds probably, right?
Oh no, 100%. I say I can hang with a quite high level swimmers. Even at my current body weight, I'm 360 pounds. I've just literally come from swimming, and I've been doing 100-meter. What I do is I do like 100 meters as fast as I can, then have a minute rest, and that's all that replicates the rounds. And I do 100 meters in about 1 minute 18 seconds, which in swimming terms is slow, but for a man my size, it's fast.
That's great. You're like an orca in the water. Holy shit!
Yeah, it's fast. Yeah, and I'm overtaking people, half my size, and they've been doing it for years, and they stop and like, what the fuck are you on? So it's pretty funny to upset some people that way.
I've been telling people I've been swimming in my backyard. I have a pool, and I'm here in Florida, but it's been a little chilly, so I bought a wetsuit. So that I can get in the water's cold, and I'm swimming, and people think I'm nuts, because you get addicted to it. That whole endurance thing, it's like you get that endorphin rush, and you're like, you want to do it every day almost, because of it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you feel good, and when you feel good, you wanted to keep doing it. So it's I swim at least twice a week now, and then obviously fight training on other bits.
What sport do you like better? Ooh. Fighting, world's strongest man training, bodybuilding, powerlifting, because you've been good at all of them. Which do you like the best?
I would say fighting. I think fighting, because it's just so like dynamic. There's so many different elements to it, especially MMA. It's all ground game. Yeah, it's ground game. It's manipulation. It's strength. It's techniques, fitness, endurance, speed, explosiveness. It's just got every element is involved in fighting, and I thoroughly enjoy the learning experience. You're always learning. No matter how big you are, how clever you are, how good a fighter you think you are always learning. There's always something that you're not doing right.
What was the biggest challenge when you started doing the fight training, from going from powerlifting to that?
I would say the first thing was dropping weight. I think when I first started fight training, I was like 177 kilo.
How much is that in pounds?
Just shy of 390 pounds.
Oh my God.
So dropping that initial sort of 20-30 pounds was pretty tough, but once you got past that, it was like I just hit a level where I'm comfortable. So I sit at the minute around 160, 165. That's like my hovering weight. And I can fight 3-minute rounds, 10 3-minute. I did 10 3-minute rounds training this morning, and then I've swam this afternoon. So yeah, the fitness is quite handy at this size.
It's amazing that you have that kind of endurance and that kind of agility it's at over 350 pounds. I mean, when you strike someone, I imagine with that body weight behind you, I imagine you have to hurt people. I mean, I can't imagine not hurting, getting hit by a 350 pound guy, a guy who's one of the world's strongest men. You know?
Yeah, no. I mean, there's no joke in that. You know, when I spar with people, I really do have to constantly think in my head, I cannot go 100%. And if I do throw 100% shots, it's always in the chest or the arm or the torso.
Right.
You know, you sort of throwing 100% in the head is just a no-go for someone my size. But I can throw a jab in someone's chest and they go flying across the ring. That's quite common in sparring. Yeah.
Well, have you had professional fights? I mean, other than like the little arranged ones with Thor and those guys.
So I did an MMA fight against two Polish guys. I think you've probably seen the clip. And then I'm literally in negotiations to sign a contract to fight Mariusz Podnoski in Poland.
Wow.
I'm hoping later this year. So that's 99% happening. Just got to put pen to paper. So yeah, that's what I'm training for, really, to fight Mariusz in Poland later in the year.
That'll be great, because Mariusz was a great world's strongest man too. But let me ask you this question though: is it like that if you wanted to fight like in like regular MMA guys, like does no one want to fight you? Is that the problem because you're so big? I mean, or would they fight you like the regular guys? Or I'm
sure that some of the heavyweights wouldn't give a shit how big you are. You know, some of those heavyweights can move and use your weight against you almost. Yeah. Anything under heavyweight, I think it'd be a bit silly to take me on. And I'm not being big-headed with that. I genuinely believe anyone sort of under 220 pounds against someone my size is just, you're risking your life, you know?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I remember I have a good friend, Bob Sapp. You probably know Bob.
Oh yeah, I speak to Bob quite regularly. Yeah.
Bob is a great guy, and I used to do his diet when he was, when he was kind of like just coming out, was in football, and then he kind of transitioned, and then he was going to do fighting, and then when he first started, he was enormous. He was like your size, but he's like 6'9", and his problem was he would gas out a lot. So he was super crazy strong and would hurt these guys, and he was fighting some of the top guys, but he would gas out. You seem like you have more of an endurance aspect to because you're doing a lot of endurance training.
Yeah,
I suspect that you could do really well against some of the top guys.
I do as well, but saying it and doing it are two different things. I've got no aspirations to go into UFC and get rankings. I don't really care about that. I think
the money?
Exactly, it's the money. So like me versus Mariusz Podnoski is a fight everyone wants to see. I know it'll sell well on pay-per-view. That makes sense. Me going up against John Jones or Tom Aspinall. It just doesn't make sense,
No, but would you fight like a Jake Paul if you ever you're agreed to do something like that for like
fuck yeah, smash his face in, yeah.
See, that's who you should be calling out on social media, because that's where the money is. That guy can pull money,
Yeah, but again, I think there's such big a weight difference. I don't know. It's like there's got to be some like legislation. I think like boxing commissioners have to sign things off, so to say. Would they let a 360-pound man fight a 220-pound man? I don't know. But
you do it as a demonstration, like what Tyson did with him, and it would be. I think it would be great. It would be great. People would go crazy for that,
Yeah. Well, let's put it out there. Jake Paul. Let's get it.
There you go, Jake Paul, Eddie Hall.
Yeah.
Jake Paul, Eddie Hall. There you go. All right. Let me get back to the strength thing, because I'm obviously won the world's strongest man. Tell me about that experience, because that's something that no one can ever take away from you. You won the world's strongest. You're the world's strongest man 2017. It's like Dexter Jackson always tells me. He goes, Dave, you know what? No matter what people say about me, I'll always be Mr. Olympia, because I won the 08 Olympia. You'll always be the world's strongest man. Is that one of the most, the title that you're the most, kind of happy with or impressed with?
I would say my most impressive and historic and iconic feat would be the 500-kilo deadlift, 1,100-pound deadlift.
Yeah, I was going to say that after. Yeah,
it was just deemed the impossible lift. It was, everyone said it was impossible. Like top strength athletes said it couldn't be done. Promoters said it couldn't be done. 99% of the fan base just laughed at me when I put it out on social media. So doing that was probably my biggest achievement in life. And then to solidify that with the World's Strongest Man title and have the two combined was it just made it made they bounced off each other so well. I think one without the other is almost worthless. Like just being a deadlift specialist and then not winning the World's Strongest Man, you'd be forgotten pretty quick.
Right.
So having won the World's Strongest Man, it really did cement that 500 kilo deadlift in people's minds.
Walk us through this thing. How difficult was this lift? I've heard some crazy stories about nosebleeds and your head exploding and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Geez. So yeah, I mean, I had to go to a different place to lift that weight. I think honestly, physically, I wasn't strong enough that day to lift that weight.
Really?
But mentally, I was willing to put myself in a very dangerous place mentally to lift that weight. I worked with psychologists and hypnotherapists, and we put my mind in a place where you hear these stories of mothers lifting their cars off the kids,
right?
And it was actually a scientist that broke it down for me, and that's why I went on to seek the hypnotherapy and everything. And like a normal day-to-day person, like goes to work, goes shopping, looks after kids, whatever, has access to about 50% of their muscle fibers. Someone who trains 20 hours a week, 15, 20 hours a week, has access to at most like 65, 70% of the muscle fibers. But then you get a woman who's had a car crash and the kids are trapped under that adrenaline release, and all of a sudden they've got access to 100% of the muscle fibers because of that huge rush of adrenaline. So that's what I needed to tap into. I needed to tap into that natural release of adrenaline to access 100% of my muscle fibers and lift the half ton. So that's basically what I did in my mind, is put myself in this dark, deep, horrible hole to lift 500 kilo. And it was it was pretty special.
How do you do that? Did you like go into a meditative state, or how did you elicit that?
Months and months and months of prep of, every time I deadlifted in the gym, I went through the same motions, the same, I'd have like a pinch point on the back of my hand that I'd pinch like 5 minutes before I lifted, and that just get me in this zone, smelling salts, just like a regime of different things setting up for this, getting my mind in this mode. I haven't talked about this actually, but I actually spent about 20 minutes locked in a disabled toilet with two pals, and I was just staring at myself in this mirror, and I was just talking absolute shit, like garbage, like Jesus walking on water type of garbage shit talk.
Really?
Just like bigging myself up, and I've got these two guys in my ear just
screaming,
you're the gospel, you're Jesus reborn and all this shit. And then it just got this click moment where I just looked in the mirror, I was like, right, I'm ready, I can do this. And I just turned and I kicked this door off the hinges, and I walked out, and I did the 500 kilo deadlift. And I've never told anyone that before, but that's how I set up for it.
Really? So you lifted that thing like it was nothing. It didn't even look hard for you.
Yeah, it was pretty. I mean, it was almost a speed rep to a point. I stood up with it pretty quick, and then it just sort of slowed down at the top. But that was the plan. Explode off the floor, give every ounce of strength that I've got off the floor, and then once you got it past your knees, it's sort of like you're almost back in the room when you get it past your knees, and you've got to really think hard and pull back and use your actually physical strength then to finish off the lift. So it was like two stages to the lift almost. It was like the first bit, like from the floor to my knees, was like I wasn't even conscious. Seriously, I wasn't even in the arena. It was like I was lifting a car off of my kids. And then the second bit, I just sort of woke up at the top just as I was finishing the lift off, and I can just sort of woke up, stood up, and I was like, fuck, I've done it. It was quite surreal.
The only thing I can equate it to, obviously, because I haven't lifted anything that heavy, but when I would squat sometimes, like I think the most I squatted was like 7, 45s on each side. And when I walked out with the thing, I started to see stars. And I've never, it's hard. People say they see stars, Literally, I'm sure you've seen this before. And you're just so focused. You're like, well, I'm just going to ignore them. And you go down and you just pray that you're going to come up. You go down and do the lift, and you come up, and you don't even know how you really did it. Yeah. But because you were like, maybe I might die doing this. I'm not sure. It seems like I could potentially die doing this, but I got to try it. No,
100%.
Right. And your body can do it, but it's like your mind is saying, this is probably not a good idea, but you don't care because you're overriding what your logical brain is telling you to do.
Yeah.
And I have to imagine it was something like that you experienced, right?
100%. And that's the difference between a champion and a bitch. I always say when you've got that thought in your mind when you're like, oh fuck, this isn't good. I could pass out, I could snap an ankle. That's the inner bitch.
Yeah.
And everyone's got an inner bitch. I've got an inner bitch. And it's letting that inner bitch tell you can't do something. And you've got to ignore that.
Right.
And you say, you see those stars and you're going to go, fucking shut up, you little bitch, and get back in your box and get it done. But saying that though, I did front squats, quite heavy, like 600-pound front squats with a bar across my chest.
Wow.
Exactly that. Saw stars, carried on, doing my reps, and then just woke up on my back. So
oh my God.
Literally woke up on my back, crippled under a bar. Luckily nothing was broke, but that taught me a lesson.
Shit.
So sometimes you've got to listen, and those stars are a sign of something. Sometimes
yeah. I never weighed as much as you did, but yeah. How much did you weigh when you did the 500 kilo?
I vaguely remember I was 186 kilos, so I think
my God,
just over 400 pounds, like 405.
Wow.
400
How did it? What people always ask me, Dave, how did it feel walking around at 300 pounds? And I tell 315. And I tell people, I used to break shit all the time. And I didn't realize how heavy I was. Yeah. What does it feel like walking around at 400 pounds?
It's fucking horrendous. It's so unhealthy. Mentally, physically, it's not a good place in life to be. I'm 6'2" and a bit, so I'm not one of the tallest people in the world. So 400 pounds at my weight it was hard, man. Like getting in and out of cars, getting transport planes. Fuck my life. Getting on especially back then with no money, getting in economy seats and just oh man, it's fucking horrendous.
Did you break shit all the time too?
All the time, always in restaurants, snapping chairs, couches at home. He's like broken car seats, plane seats, like the armrests. You can't fit in the armrests on plane seats, so I've had to like physically rip an armrest up just so I could sit down.
You know what, Eddie? You're the only person I've ever heard say that, because I would get my leg, my quad under the armrest, and I would pop it up, and it would snap just so that I could sit comfortably and see. Anyone who was ever with on the plane was so embarrassed that I would break. I'm like, I can't sit here otherwise. And you're the only other person who's ever told me they did the same thing.
Every time I'd sit in an economy seat, because especially you always sit in the aisle, because the only way I could sit on an economy plane.
Aisle, definitely.
And the aisle armrest was never allowed to come up, was it? So every time I sat down, there'd be a massive snap, like, and the whole plane would be like, what the fuck was that? And I just act so cool. I'd be like, oh, it's just the armrest coming up, and put my leg under, like, oh, that's better.
I used to do the exact same. But the girl I was dating at the time was mortified. I would do it every time we got on the plane because I couldn't sit otherwise.
Ditto, yeah.
Anyway, that's funny. So, all right. So you do the 500 kilo lift. What happened after? Did you have any was there any physical problems you had after? Because I read some crazy things and heard you say that you had blown blood vessels and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty bad actually. I essentially, by scans later on, I essentially had a bleed on the brain from that.
Wow, you did.
A huge amount of pressure. There was blood. When we got backstage, there was blood in my ears. There was blood in my tear ducts and my eyes.
Oh
there was just so much pressure. And yeah, it fucked me up. I think I lost my sight for a good few hours. Like
that's scary.
Like arc eye. So I used to weld when I was a mechanic, and if you look at the weld, and then you look somewhere else, you go blind in that bit where you were welding. And that's what I got. I just literally, I could see it outside, like my peripheral vision. I could see people. Right. But if I looked at someone, it was just like a dark circle.
Oh my God.
So something happened there, like too much pressure behind the eyes, and it fucked me up. And then I think for about 2 weeks after, I had like the signs of concussion. So like really, really bad short-term memory loss, like forgetting people's names, like having conversations and then having the same conversation again, and people would say to me, "You just fucking said that." Like my wife would say to you, "You just literally said that exact fucking same thing 2 minutes ago. What's up with you?"
I wonder what you did. You must have done something you must have blown some vessel in your brain. Thank God you didn't get brain damage from it.
Yeah, fuck it. I fully recovered. It was worth it. It was worth it, definitely.
Would you ever try anything like that again, or is that like a once in a lifetime?
I think, I've had the opportunity. I did that in 2016, and in my opinion, I was nowhere near my peak then.
Right.
I wasn't the strongest I ever was at 16. Mm-hmm. Fast forward 2017, I believe I could have done quite a lot more. I remember at the final of World's Strongest Man, I'd already done something like 10 events at World's Strongest Man, and then the 11th event was the max deadlift, and I pulled 472 kilo.
Wow!
In the middle, at the end of this event, and I literally lifted it. I stood up with it like I was standing up out of a chair. It just felt like nothing.
Wow!
And they asked me in the interview after, said like, that was incredible. Like, what do you think you're capable of lifting? I was like, honestly, like if you put 520 kilo on that bar right now, I'd lift it. And I genuinely believed it. Wow. And that was an interview in 2017 after I won World's Strongest Man. And I retired after I won World's Strongest Man. And for me, it was like, what have I got left to prove in the sport? I've lifted the impossible half ton. I've won the World's Strongest Man. And I was like, that's all I wanted to achieve, to come back and pull 501, 502, 510, 520. Right. It was, for me, in my mind, it was like, what's the fucking point? No one would give a shit.
Once you get past the 500 kilo mark, that's what people wanted to see.
It was it was kind of like the first man on the moon. It was like that, but in the strength world.
Do you think that record will be broken?
Yeah, I believe so. I think there's people capable. Half-4 Bjornsson has pulled a 501 in his home gym. There's a big black cloud over that. I don't think it should count under legislation. His dad weighing the plates and whatever else. But I believe half-4 can come and pull over 500 kilo in a competition. I believe he can. I think Mitchell Hooper as well, another strong man. He's on fire. He's on fire.
Isn't that guy like the most? You look at him and you don't think he's capable of doing what he's capable of, and he's an incredible athlete too, right?
Okay, no, he looks like my local bin man. Do you know what I mean? If you saw him like emptying the bins every Wednesday, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, mate, you're right." You would think nothing of looking at him like, "Hey, mate, morning." You wouldn't think he's an athlete. Obviously he's big and strong, but yeah, fuck me, he's what an athlete. Is fucking phenomenal. Probably like on par with Mariusz Podnoski. When Mariusz came on the scene, he was just this unique specimen that just dominated everything, that pushed harder than everyone, that just did things that people thought were impossible. I think he's another Mariusz. He's got a lot more left in the tank. I think he's got the capabilities to win multiple World's Strongest Man titles, probably more than 5, if I'm being honest.
It's amazing because, like you said, when he won the first one and I was watching it, and I interviewed him after, I was like, I can't believe this guy was able to do that. And then you see some people are just gifted, and I think you can't. Gifts come from God. There's nothing you could really do to explain them other than to say it's amazing to watch this guy in action.
Yeah, he is unique in his mindset as well. He's almost like I was obsessed. Like I mean, fucking obsessed to do the 500 kilo and win the World's Strongest Man. I was obsessed. Yeah. And he's just so relaxed with it. He doesn't stress about it. He doesn't.
I noticed that. Yeah, he's very relaxed.
Almost as if you speak to him, and it's almost as if he hasn't put all his eggs in the basket yet. He's still got a lot more to put in. He's like, oh, this is just like a little side quest for me. It's fucking insane. Yeah.
It was like that. Ronnie Coleman was always like that too. I mean, I knew he loved bodybuilding, but he had such a relaxed attitude about it that like. I could never. I remember Steve Weinberger once telling me, he's like, that guy's going to live to like 120 because he's got no stress at all. Meanwhile, Steve and I are like, red faced, so intense about everything we do, and and you're like that too, obviously. But yeah,
maybe there's something behind that. Maybe you get these guys that just don't genuinely care if they win, lose, draw, or whatever. And maybe that relaxed, less stress makes them sleep better, recover better. Maybe it is, that making them so good. Yeah, that's it.
Because what is, they're cool under pressure. That's the key. Yeah. They're cool. Yeah. Like we raise our adrenaline through the roof to try to they're under pressure, and it works. But they're cool under pressure, and they get the same results. So maybe they know something we don't know.
Yeah, no, I think you're right there.
How old are you now, Eddie?
Just turned 37 this month, literally 2 weeks ago.
Happy birthday. Why do you think it is that strength guys seem to get better, as they get into their late 30s? I see most guys don't peak early 20s. They're like late peakers, assuming you don't have injuries, obviously.
Yeah, I think of late, I think a lot of the winners have been like late 20s. And I think it's just the evolution of the sport. I think it's become it's sort of evolved in a way where it's not just static strength. You need the athleticism, you need the youth, you need the speed. And I think as you get older, you even though I think there's such a thing as old man strength, like the older you get, the stronger you are. I think that's true. But I think you then lose the athleticism, you lose the speed, you lose the explosiveness. And I think that's where these young people are taking advantage of that. World's Strongest Man and a few other shows have made it more that way, and it suits the younger guys better. If they made it more statically strong, I think it would suit, the sort of early 30s, mid 30s guys.
The Arnold Strongman has always been more of a strength type of strongest man competition. Do you see the older guys do better at that because of that?
I would like to say yes, but Mitchell Hooper will probably come and prove me wrong.
He's a genetic. This guy's a freak.
Yeah. But in general, I think the sort of mid 30s guys will always sort of come on top of the younger guys in general, because it's more of a static sort of heavyweight contest. Yeah.
Let me go give you some plugs, because I know you got some projects going on. Tell us what's going on with you in terms of like business opportunities. And I know you're one of our mutual friends is helping you out with some stuff too. Let's give them a plug.
Yeah, brilliant. I've just launched the Beasted app. So uploaded a shed load of programs for all different kinds of people that want to lose weight, put muscle on, or get into strongman, diets, well-being, anything. So that's launched. That's on the Apple App Store now, so you can download that and check that out.
How much does that cost if people want to subscribe to that?
I think it's $30. I do it in pounds here, but I think it's $30.
$30 a month. Okay.
Yeah. But you get a lot with that.
So what do you give these people? What's like do you give them like diet advice? Do you give them supplement advice? What are you offering on the app?
Everything. So mainly workouts is like the emphasis of it. Giving you like 4, 8, 12-week workouts.
Gotcha.
Based on what they want to do, put weight on, lose weight, get strong, whatever that may be, and then diets to go with that. So if you want to gain weight, you want to stay the same, you want to lose weight, you've got diets. And if you put, I don't like chicken, I don't like tomato sauce, or whatever, we'll cut that out. It's all built that way. Yeah, so it's pretty nifty like that.
Sure.
Cool with that. And then Beast Farm. Beast Farm's my own sort of nutrition business. We've launched last September. No, the September before. So we're like coming up to a year and 3-4 months old now. That's doing great. Doing clothing. So this is the 500 kilo deadlift special limited edition, for example. So we're doing clothing, we're doing accessories.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's doing really good. And then just the fighting, really, mate. You've seen my stupid YouTube and Facebook videos that go viral, and I just enjoy making content, just taking the piss and having fun.
Yeah, there's the Beast clothing line. And then what do you got going on with our buddy?
So Carl?
With Carl, yeah, Carl, yeah.
Carl Silverstone, yeah. He essentially helped me to build the Beasted app.
So he's involved with the app with you.
Okay. Yeah. So
is he your partner in that app?
Kind of. He's a part of the team that helped me build the app. Yeah, so he was my main contact. He's a good guy.
Yeah, no. He reached out to me and he made this interview happen. So I want to thank him for that. Carl, thank you. And I had a really good time talking to you. Obviously, you have a really interesting life. So we'll end the interview with this. If you had to pick one person in the world that you'd like to fight, like your ultimate lift was the 500-pound deadlift. You obviously wanted to win the world's strongest man. If you had to pick one fight where this is going to be my Rocky fight of the century, and then I could retire after that, who would you want to fight and why?
Fuck. Geez, if you'd asked me that like 6 months ago, a year ago, I would have said Mariusz Podnotsky.
Okay.
And I probably would still now. I think Mariusz is 5 times world's strongest man. So he's
Right.
got me on that. He's been doing MMA for 16 years. He's fucked up some good fighters.
How old is he now? What is he, in his 40s?
I think he's 47, but
Okay.
with the hormone therapy you get these days, you might as well be 30. Especially in Poland.
Are you nervous to fight him a little bit, or are you very confident in yourself?
100%. Yeah, 100% nervous. He is. He scares the shit out of me, to be honest. He was ferocious in strongman. He's been ferocious in MMA, and his engine. I think that's what scares me the most. He's just got an engine. For example, like the strongman, you'd lift an anvil, like a 200-kilo anvil, and who can get the max distance? Most athletes would get like 20 meters, 30 meters. Marius would carry this thing for like 200 meters. And that's what separated from the rest. He's got this engine that can give and give and give. And it's the same with the fighting. You watch him, he throws one shot, takes a big breath, and then he's just like, bah! And he can throw shots as hard as you can fucking imagine for 2 minutes straight. And then he's fine, and then he'll bounce around, get on top of him. Like, his cardio is fucking insane. So I've got my hands full with Marius, that's for sure.
Do you feel that you're with your training that you're doing now that you could take him out?
That I wouldn't be taking the fight if I didn't think I could.
You might be taking it for the money. I don't know. I'm just getting your mindset.
No, I want this fight because I believe that I have a good chance to beat Marius. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm 100% going to beat him. It's a dangerous fight, and I think everyone knows that it's a dangerous fight. He's a hard bastard. And I'm training to beat that hard bastard.
One more question. The boxing match you had with Thor, Bjornsson, the mountain.
Yeah.
How much training did you do for that one?
Loads. Like, I committed my life to that fight. The most unfortunate thing for that, and now I say it because people fucking whatever. I got fucking blasted after that fight saying I didn't train properly, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I ripped my left bicep off 6 months before that fight. And then I literally, you got to think, you couldn't even use the arm. I was putting footage out that I was swimming and all sorts, but in reality, I was fucked. I couldn't even use my arm.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that. Right.
So I had to, not only did I do that, I had to swap my stance. So I had to fight southpaw with only 2-3 months of training. And then when the fight happened, I could only use my right arm. If you watch the fight, I threw my left arm. I think my coach counted. I threw 18 shots with my left arm, and the right was fucking loads. So I'm a right-hand fighter,
right.
And left hand forward. You would throw that jab 20 times.
Jabbing with the left.
Exactly.
Right.
I threw it 18 through 6 3-minute rounds. I threw it 18 times. So
that sucks.
Yeah, it was hard, man, and that was mentally tough for me to go into that fight knowing I only had one arm. But I put that bravado on, and I still wanted to go in there. I literally said to the promoter, I said, my arm's fucked, but I still want to fight him one-armed. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
I genuinely believed I was going to beat him with one arm. Unfortunately, that did not happen. But
would you do a rematch with him?
I would do a rematch with Thor on the street, and I hope that makes sense. I don't want to do business with that guy. I don't want to put money in his pocket. I don't want to fucking go against someone who cries wolf when he loses a strongman contest. And I've done it, and you know what? I regret doing that fight for that reason. So I would do the rematch, but it would
I don't really know the history of you guys. What's the did he do something to you, or what did he do?
There's a big documentary on it on YouTube if you want to check it out. But basically, I won the World's Strongest Man, and he made accusations that the referee was working with me. And disallowed him a rep on the Viking press, which was proven to be bullshit. Once that was proven to be bullshit, he then said that some events were changed. You just can't win, no matter what you say to the bloke.
He was trying to say that it was set up for you to win.
I was literally, we put this documentary on YouTube. It literally proved whatever he said was wrong. And then he just changed to something else. Oh yeah, but it wasn't that, it was this. So you
can't be a sore loser in the sport.
He's a sore loser, and I just can't stand sore losers. And I lost that boxing match, and I took it on the chin. I shook his hand. That was hard for me, but I say I wish I didn't do it because he didn't deserve that. you know, the wrong man won that boxing fight. I'll say that. So yeah, he's a piece of shit. He's gonna fuck himself.
Well, there's even more reason to fight him again. Hey, Eddie, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you got a lot going on. Good luck with the app and good luck with the training. I hope the Mariusz Pudzianowski fight happens. I know we all want to see it, and best of luck, man.
Thank you, man. Nice to speak to you, Dave. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Guys, that's going to take us to the end of another episode of RX Muscle's exclusive one-on-one interview with the Beast, Eddie Hall. We'll see you next time.